Welcome to the Bakersfield City Council meeting. This television broadcast is brought to you by the local cable companies, the County of Kern, and the City of Bakersfield. You can watch the rebroadcast of this meeting Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 10 a.m., and the following Wednesday at 7 p.m. You can download the agenda for this meeting at www.bakersfieldcity.us. Presiding over this evening's meeting, the Honorable Mayor Karen K. Go.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to call to order the 5:15 regular City Council meeting of July 14th, 2021. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mayor Go.
Here.
Vice Mayor Weir. Councilmember Arias.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
I am here.
Councilmember Freeman.
Here.
Councilmember Gray.
Here.
Councilmember Parlier.
Here.
On March 4th, 2020, Governor Newsom declared a state of emergency in California due to the threat of COVID-19. We understand that many of the governor's executive orders related to COVID-19 have been rescinded or are due to expire soon. However, some orders remain in effect, including the suspension of some components of the Brown Act related to meetings like this, public meetings. And as such, Councilmember Gray and Parlier will be participating by phone, and all council votes tonight will be conducted by roll call. At this time, our Bakersfield Fire Chief, Anthony Galageza, will offer the invocation, and following that, Councilmember Bob Smith will lead us in the pledge. Would you all please stand?
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we just come before you and ask you into this place. We ask for blessings upon the proceedings. We ask for blessings upon council and the mayor and department heads and city leaders. I ask for blessings, Father, that you would give them wisdom and knowledge to carry out for the betterment of this city, for the betterment of our Bakersfield. Father, I ask that you would be with them during these proceedings. We ask that the content be more important, that we'd have good civil discourse, and Father, be able to hash out the issues and do it the right way. And we ask that, Father, it be according to your will. And last but not least, Father, we just ask for blessings upon Councilman Parlier and his family. We ask for blessings of healing. We ask for blessings of comfort. We ask that you'd be with his wonderful wife, Debbie, during this time and his family. And Father, be with them. Give them strength. Give them hope. Encourage through it all. We just continually look for your guidance, and that, Father, you would lead this city in Jesus' name. Amen.
Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Here are a few guidelines to help our meeting run smoothly. We request that you turn off your phones. Please be courteous in the use of cameras and videos, and for safety reasons and as a courtesy to others, no signs are allowed in the council chamber or in the lobby. Applause is only allowed during the presentations portion of the meeting, but not during other portions of the meeting, and please avoid any behavior that disrupts the meeting. There were numerous and significant disruptions during the June 16th, 2021 City Council meeting, which resulted in the need to take a recess and clear the chamber. Failure to abide by rules of procedure and basic decorum, including disruptive behavior that interferes with our ability to have an orderly and efficient meeting, prevents the City Council from conducting the business of the city. Engaging in conduct that disrupts the meeting or that incites disruption, including outbursts or interruptions from the audience using amplified sound or shouting or resorting to threatening or profane comments that incite disruption, will not be tolerated. This is a first warning to everyone in attendance that conduct that disrupts this meeting may result in expulsion and/or the chamber being cleared. Continued disruption or harassment by any individual may be enforced as a misdemeanor in violation of Penal Code Sections 403, 415, 217.1, or any other applicable law. Madam Clerk, please read the first item.
Under presentations, item 4A, proclamation to Rick Anthony, Director of the City of Bakersfield Recreation and Parks Department, declaring Recreation and Parks Month in Bakersfield during July 2021.
Welcome. We are so fortunate to have someone new with us, Rick Anthony. Welcome back to Bakersfield, and we're just so glad we're going to hear much more about you, but welcome back to Bakersfield. You know, it doesn't matter where you live in our community. Everyone wants quality of life for their families. And imagine if we didn't have any parks. We currently have 41 public parks, 4 public pools, 13 spray parks, 2 sport complexes, and 2 skate parks, 1 large amphitheater. And Rick Anthony and his team of 179 Recreation and Parks Department staff, they are diligently taking care of this to improve the quality of life for all. And so today it's my honor to present this proclamation. Whereas recreation programs and parks are essential to communities across America, including the city of Bakersfield, and whereas parks and recreation are fundamental in establishing and maintaining our community's quality of life while contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of the community, and whereas recreation is invaluable to residents in providing positive alternatives for children and youth, especially during non-school hours, and whereas parks and green spaces remove pollution from air, lower city temperatures, and aid in capturing and storing water. Now, therefore, I, Karen Go, Mayor of the City of Bakersfield, do hereby proclaim July 20th, 2021, as Recreation and Parks Month. You know, I should do that again. I messed it up. I'm proclaiming July 2021 as Recreation and Parks Month in our city and urge all residents to enjoy the social, physical, mental, and environmental benefits derived from the city's parks, streetscapes, and programs. And it's dated today, the 14th of July 2021. And so it's my honor to be able to present this to our new Recreation and Parks Director, Rick Anthony. And here you go. Don't feel nervous at all because the mayor messes things up all the time. So you go ahead. Comments for you.
Okay, the first thing my staff told me is I didn't have to speak, so that's appropriate. This is an honor. I'm certainly glad to be back here to lead this great department. One thing I believe that this pandemic has shown us that we are essential, and I'm very proud and happy to roll up my sleeves and get to work with all of you. So thank you for this, Mayor.
Welcome home. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Give it up. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Public statements.
Thank you. If you're here to make a public statement, please fill out the speaker card and give it to the city clerk. Statements are given a 3-minute time limit, 15 minutes per topic. If you have written comments that are longer than your verbal statement, please give them to the clerk, who will give copies to the council. If you're here on consent calendar hearing items 9A through C or public hearing item 10A, now is not the time to speak. You'll be given an opportunity to speak when that item is called later in the meeting. We're very interested and concerned with your issues. However, due to the public notice requirement of the Brown Act, Council can't take action when an item is not on the agenda. The council can, however, refer your matter to committee or request that staff contact you. Again, please avoid any behavior that disrupts the meeting, as I previously outlined. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers?
Mayor Go, a staff memorandum has been provided transmitting correspondence received via email. We have received 6 speaker cards this evening, 2 regarding a single subject and 4 regarding separate subjects. The first public speaker this evening will be Ed Gade.
Ed? Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Ed Gady. I'm the president of one of the newest nonprofits here in Bakersfield. Our organization is the Kern County World War II Veterans Memorial. With the council's approval, we plan to build a World War II memorial to honor Kern County's World War II veterans and those who supported them. With your blessings, this memorial will be located at Jastrow Park, west of the Korea War Memorial and east of the tennis courts facing Truxtun Avenue. Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez, for giving our project the guidance and contacts needed for an appropriate possible location of this long overdue memorial. We've been working with Christian Clegg, Rick Anthony, Darren Budak, and Keith Howell for their input, advice, and feedback concerning this noble endeavor. We've also enlisted assistance from Klassen Corporation for their architectural expertise to help prevent damage or misuse of this noble structure while adhering to current ADA compliance standards. We are working hard to ensure Kern County's greatest generation is honored properly. Our board has composed a detailed proposed planning and construction schedule with a memorial unveiling on Veterans Day, Friday, November 11th, 2022. We are asking the City Council for an opportunity to put this elegant project on your August meeting agenda for further consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gady. Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Gady, thank you so much for your work here and your comments today, and thank you to the committee for bringing this proposal to the council and for bringing me onto this project early on. I appreciate that so much. I think it's a worthwhile project and it's long overdue, and I'd like to make a referral to staff to agendize this as soon as we can on the upcoming council meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for everyone's support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Gonzalez. Next speaker, please.
Marcy Cunningham.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Marcy Cunningham. You've heard many speakers at previous meetings with their concerns for the safety of hikers and equestrians if e-bikes are allowed on the unpaved trails in the Kern River corridor. Previously, we have asked that any proposed ordinance changes to the Bakersfield Municipal Code relating to the Kern River Trail address our concerns. At the Ledge and Lit Committee meeting, we heard from city staff that the municipal code for the Kern River Trail does not cover the hiking and riding trails. And because of this, allowed uses for these trails can't be included in any ordinance amendment. We, the 950 signees on the petitions you received, would like the council to address this problem in whatever way available to protect our hiking and riding trails from encroachment on by any motor vehicle or electrically motorized mode of transportation. The Kern River Plan element, officially certified by the city on August 19, 1985, specifically mentions under Chapter 4.11 Recreation that riding and hiking trails shall be located in the general areas included on the plan map. Also, the Kern River Specific Trails Plan adopted in 2003 included in Chapter 3, coordination with other planning efforts, that the circulation element encourages alternate modes of transportation such as bicycle, pedestrian, and equestrian trails utilizing features such as the Kern River. Equestrian trails are a part of the Kern River Plan and the Kern River Specific Trails Plan. Additionally, the state of California amended the vehicle code to read that a Class 3 e-bike shall not be operated on a bicycle path or trail, equestrian trail, or hiking or recreational trail unless the governing body of a public agency having jurisdiction over the path or trail permits, by ordinance, that operation. If the state of California felt that Class 3 e-bikes should not be operated on this type of trail, then why does the city of Bakersfield think that they should be allowed? Operators of Class 3 e-bikes must be 16 or older and wear an approved bicycle helmet. Who is going to police this? Because of the increased power available to Class 3 e-bike users, they are more likely to want to ride off the pavement and onto the hiking and riding trails. Please exclude the permitted riding of Class 3 e-bikes on the Kern River Trail from any ordinance amendments. And if e-bikes are to be allowed on the Kern River Trail, let it only be Class 1 and Class 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have something for
Next speaker, please.
Dustin Dodgen.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Dustin Dodgen. I'm an attorney with Klein, D. Natale Goldner. And tonight I'm proudly representing the developer of the new state-of-the-art VA clinic here in Bakersfield. It'll be over on Olive Drive in Knutson. I know you remember it. It's been before you. And tonight I have what may seem to be a counterintuitive request. My client plans to move forward. My client is extraordinarily appreciative of the continued support from this council. But we are dealing with an environmental lawsuit, and we have to think strategically. And so I'm going to ask you if we can put something on next time's agenda where we take a step back so that we can more quickly move forward. Let me give you a very brief history. This project was applied for back in May of 2020. The site plan review was approved in January. By February, it was in front of the Planning Commission on an appeal. The appeal came from the existing VA clinic. I might use the word competitor. That appeal was denied by your Planning Commission, and your council upheld that decision in March. By April, we were in a lawsuit by the competitor. It's an environmental lawsuit. We don't agree with it. We don't think your council agrees with the arguments in the lawsuit. But what we're going to do is ask that you rescind your approvals so that we can go back and do an EIR, an environmental impact report, and we believe that's going to shorten the ultimate timeline to serve our veterans. SASD Development Group, LLC, is my client. They are fully behind this project. By asking you to rescind the approvals, we're not backing away from the project. We want to go faster. It's going to be expensive to go through the EIR process. It's going to take some time. But we don't want the risk that we get to the end of this lawsuit and the judge might say, you know, I would like you to do an EIR. I'd like you to do some component of the EIR. We want to spend the money to serve the veterans. We want to do it now. And so we want to ask that you rescind your approvals. I've provided Madam Clerk with a copy of our May letter in which we made that request. And today I'm just asking that it be put on your agenda for next time, August 4th, so you may vote to formally rescind those approvals. Again, I want to convey the deep gratitude for my client for your support of this great project and this important project for our veterans. At this time, we need to think strategically to best move forward on this project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Dodgen. Sorry we had a clock issue, but I believe you were within your 3-minute time limit. And now, Councilmember Gray, please.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity. I have to say, I, for one, am very disappointed in what Mr. Dodgen is asking tonight of the council to do with the VA clinic project. We support our local veterans here, and we're looking forward to the development of a highly anticipated new clinic. Council has received countless comments from veterans over the years that are in dire need of this much anticipated clinic. We finally had a project moving forward, but now the applicant has changed its mind. Let it be clear that this is a decision the applicant is requesting, not the city council, because we are extremely in favor of the project. City attorney, I would ask you to please review any documents submitted by Mr. Dodgen, ensuring that this does not result in the city paying the attorneys who brought this lawsuit or their client 1 penny of our money. I likewise draft the appropriate documents, if you would, for rescinding the mitigated negative declaration and site plan review and calendar for council members' consideration at a future city council meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Gray. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering, does city attorney have any comments on this request?
Mayor, Councilmember Smith, no, I understood what Councilmember Gray has directed, and we'll bring those documents back to the council at the August 4th meeting.
So as I understood the request, it was to rescind only the environmental document, not the approval?
It would be everything. It would be the site plan review as well as any environmental documents that went with it, which was the mitigated neg deck.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dodgen.
Thank you very
Next,
much.
thank you. And now, next speaker, please.
Michael Turnipseed.
Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. It's nice to be back after my 2-month vacation that I've had to take for my recovery from surgery. But anyway, first of all, in disclosure, we're going to talk about some things tonight, but we have invited council members Gonzalez and Freeman to our board meeting, and they will be attending tomorrow, and we'll have further discussions on these issues. As you know, generally, we're very concerned about the budget. Your budget, first of all, it's been frozen for 3 years. And even though there's been growth in sales tax and other revenues, the hiring of employees has been totally shifted to Measure N. And in conversations with the city manager, Measure N will soon hit 60% of the total revenue of Measure N will be going to ongoing employee costs. Every year we ask the question, what's the cap going to be? Taxpayers did not approve Measure N to just go and hire more and more employees. If anything, we'd like you to invest in employees you have and make them more efficient and able to do more work more efficiently and effectively. Second comment is TCC. We've attended the workshops. There's a report now at the state legislature from the TCC staff that basically says that Bakersfield is the only city in California that doesn't seem to want TCC funds. Now, I've heard this secondhand from somebody I know in Sacramento. If that's true, I know the fact that the city continues to push for areas to get TCC funds that are not truly the most disadvantaged areas of town. Finally, the American Recovery Act, Recovery Plan, you're going to receive $96 million. Council sets policy. Where is this money going to be spent? Or are you just going to allow staff to come up with their own spending plan like protocol normally happens around here? We think you need to have a plan with benchmarks and matrices to figure out that the city gets the biggest return for this money. If we're going to recover, we have 30 years of decisions to recover on right now, so we should be recovering. And last but not least, has come up to my attention in the last 2 weeks, that the Greyhound sold their property to local investors a year ago. Their lease has yet to has yet to be delivered, over a year for a lease on the Amtrak.
Thank you.
And the investors
Thank you. Your time
who are
is up.
there, oh, you're being really tight tonight. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Turnipseed. Next speaker, please. Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, Mike, for joining us tonight. I would like to ask staff to do research or at least engage with, as it relates to TCC, let's engage the Strategic Growth Council. I've also heard secondhand that there may or may not be a letter floating around discussing the community engagement and planning process of the City of Bakersfield's TCC plan. So if we can engage them and bring that back next meeting, I would really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Arias. Next speaker, please.
Mayor Go, the following two speakers are speaking regarding item 8I. Riddhi Patel.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Riddhi Patel. My council member is the horrible Bruce Freeman. I wanted to take a minute to address what the mayor said about the June 16th city council meeting. The disruption she talked about was because members in the hall snapped their fingers in support of a community member making public comment, to which the city attorney, Ginny, said, if there's any more disruptions, we should end public comment. To which a community member in the front row sitting here objected to, considering hearing our public comments is our rights as Bakersfield citizens. Ginny got upset and decided to end all public comment on the hundreds of millions being voted on that day for the Bakersfield budget. The members who were part of the group People's Budget Bakersfield, who were advocating for a participatory budgeting process where Bakersfield taxpayers would have a say in where their taxpayer money goes. At this moment, no Bakersfield City Council member, the mayor, or the city manager, Christian Clegg, has publicly supported a participatory budgeting process. The group of thousands of community Bakersfield citizens also advocate for the overbloated police budget that gives over $132 million to the department would be better spent on housing, education, jobs, youth services, infrastructure, and more, so we could address the root issues of crime and demand that we defund the police department. For example, housing has only been given $5 million, while the police now have over $132 million to terrorize unhoused neighbors and criminalize homelessness. Now, since you all, city council members, refuse to listen to Bakersfield citizens, and every one of you truly does not care about what we want as community members want, I have decided it's time to treat you like the children you act like, and I will begin to read books to you since it is clear you are all extremely ignorant. We will begin with Who Do You Serve? Who Do You Protect? Police Violence and Resistance in the United States. Forward by Alicia Garza. Black people are fighting for our right to live while black. 2010 marked the beginning of a historic period of black resistance to police terrorism and state-sanctioned violence. Beginning with the murder of Oscar Grant in January 2010 by then BART police officer Johannes Michel, and continuing with the high-profile cases of Trayvon Martin, Jordan Davis, Renisha McBride, Michael Brown, Rakia Boyd, Tamir Rice, and too many others, police violence, particularly in poor and black communities, has taken center stage nationwide. The rebellion that ensued in August 2014 after the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri was for some a politicizing moment, the defining moment that spurred them into social justice activism and/or organizing. For others, it was yet another moment to advance a demand that has been emanating from our community since Black people first reached the shores of America. Demand to stop the physical, emotional, economic, and political slaughter of Black bodies.
Next speaker, please.
Emma De La Rosa.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening. Emma De La Rosa, Policy Advocate with Leadership Council. First of all, I want to say congratulations.
Ms. Patel, we do not allow comments from the audience. That's an outburst. You've been warned of that. You have been warned about that already, and you may not return.
I'll get my stuff, but you look like yourself.
Go ahead and just wait until we're ready. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. De La Rosa.
First of all, public participation is fundamental to good governance, and freedom of expression is one of those fundamental principles of democracy and accountability. And tonight, you are going to be voting on those rules of decorum today, and we urge the City Council to vote no and to instead focus on making sure community voices are heard in policy and investment decisions. That was really the thing that residents are trying to do is to share their priorities. Going to the housing issue, congratulations on establishing an affordable housing trust fund. That's a great accomplishment. I believe Bakersfield is the only city in the Central Valley who's doing that, so that's awesome to hear. But we do need to incorporate community feedback. And I provided y'all some comments and some recommendations that I would appreciate to see part of the resolution tonight before it is approved. So residents and organizations have long advocated for an affordable housing trust fund. And for an effective and efficient affordable housing trust fund, it is imperative that the city collaborate with community-based organizations, residents, and tenants to design and implement the program. CBOs work directly with residents facing housing insecurities and concerns and can contribute to the design and implementation of the program in a most effective manner. We urge the city to include a multi-stakeholder collaborative approach to guide program design and implementation, and a community oversight committee composed of tenants and residents and resident voices in this resolution. To further strengthen the program, we urge the city to include some of the recommendations under eligible projects. First of all, we need to support first-time home buyers in order to build wealth in different communities of our city. We also ask for housing rehabilitation. Currently, right now, our temperatures are up above 110. A lot of folks don't have running ACs. They have coolers, which are failing, and this is something that is part of the housing element that I don't believe the city has done anything on. And so it's important to invest in housing rehabilitation and include this as part of the eligible projects, along with emergency home repairs and abandoned and foreclosed homes. There's a lot of them in our communities, and that is an opportunity for the city to invest and not have to continuously pay for code enforcement activities. And so we ask for this to be an eligible project, as well as including transitional age youth housing. Most importantly, the city must affirmly further fair housing policies through the design and implementation of this program. You have to consider the pollution burden that community members already face, and we want to make sure that affordable housing is built throughout the community, the city of Bakersfield, in high opportunity areas. In addition to that, there's currently 1,228 moderate to above moderate units that have been permitted, and only 230 low and very low income units. That is contributing to the homelessness situation, and there isn't any attention from City Council, and we need that attention today. So we hope that y'all will include these recommendations, and we look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. De La Rosa. Councilmember Arias.
Emma, thank you so much for joining us tonight and for your continued advocacy on this important issue. I think you raised a couple of concerns that, really affect predominantly some of our older neighborhoods and communities with older homes, the need for additional funding for housing rehab is critical. I think many of our communities, as we endure this heat wave at this time, do not have ACs. So it's something that we need to consider and do what we can to help support those families make it through these changing climate challenges. If I may, I would like for staff to engage Ms. Emma De La Rosa and Leadership Council to not only discuss some of the things that she brought up today, but make sure that we engage her on the affordable housing strategy that we're building out through SB2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Arias. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Consent calendar items 8A through 8AG, 8BG for approval. A staff memorandum was received regarding item 8A, correcting the minutes to include an additional public speaker. An additional staff memorandum was received regarding item 8W, correcting the subject line of the agenda item.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Do any council members wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, do any council members wish to abstain from any item? Hearing none, I will move to approve items 8A through 8BG.
Thank you. You have a motion. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Weir. Councilmember Arias.
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes.
Councilmember Parlier. Motion is approved with Vice Mayor Weir absent.
Thank you. Next item, please. It's now time for the consent calendar hearings. The purpose of this section is to vote on all of the items listed under consent calendar hearings in one motion without further comment. If anyone would like to speak on any of the hearing items listed, the item must be removed from this portion of the agenda. If an item is removed, it will be placed at the end of the regular public hearing portions of the meeting. So at this time, I'll open the consent calendar public hearing, items 9A through C. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to request that a hearing item be removed from the consent calendar? If so, please come forward. This isn't the time to take testimony, only to remove a matter from the consent calendar hearing. Seeing none, does any council member wish to remove an item? Seeing none, at this time, consent calendar public hearing items 9A through C is closed. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move to approve items 9A through 9C.
You have a motion. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Weir. Councilmember Arias.
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes.
Councilmember Parlier.
Aye.
Motion is approved with Vice Mayor Weir absent.
Thank you. Our next item is public hearings. Each side will be allowed 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes for all speakers per side. So it's important that you identify yourself, make your statement succinctly so others may speak. We'll hear statements from those opposed to the staff's recommendation first. Then we'll hear from those who'd like to speak in favor of staff's recommendation. If there is testimony on both sides, each side will be allowed a 5-minute rebuttal. There's a clock on the TV screens behind me which indicates 15 minutes. Please step to the microphone, identify yourself. After 14 minutes, the yellow light will come on. At the end of 15 minutes, a red light will flash, indicating your time is up. Quickly end your statement. You may ask questions during your statement, but they won't be addressed until the public hearing is closed. If you have written comments that are longer than your verbal statement, give them to the clerk and she will provide copies to the council. Please be courteous to those who wish to speak. Madam Clerk, please read the public hearing item.
Public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution concerning an appeal by Mountbatten homeowners regarding Planning Commission's approval of tentative tract map 7383.
Before I open the hearing, I'd like to provide some background. This appeal was initially scheduled for consideration on May 5th, 2021. Based on further discussions, the appeal was referred back to staff so that staff and the applicant could further review options available. It is my understanding that staff will indicate that on July 1st, 2021, the applicant submitted an amended map that incorporates the comments made by the appellant in their stated appeal. These amendments were reviewed by staff, and staff is recommending that the amended map be approved. And at this time, Assistant City Manager Hewitt, do you have any comments?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor. I will defer to Development Services Director Chris Boyle for further comment.
Mr. Boyle.
Thank you, Mr. Huat. Madam Mayor, council members. I have a brief presentation as it relates to the public hearing to consider adoption of a resolution concerning the appeal by the Mountbatten Homeowners Association. The appeal was for, as noted, the Planning Commission's approval of tentative tract map 7383, which provided for the subdivision of 26 acres into 24 residential lots, a sump lot, and a remainder parcel, which currently is developed with a church. As noted, council did refer the appeal back to staff at its May 5th meeting. Just for reference, the project site is located at the northwest corner of Reyna Road and Old Farm Road. Note the church development on the site. This is the original map that was appealed by the Mountbatten Homeowners Association. The primary concern of the association was the extension of Dalceto Street down and around and connecting to Mountbatten, such that the existing cul-de-sac became a through street. There was concerns, as noted, as it relates to safety and the like because of that design. The applicant has proposed a revised design that is a singular cul-de-sac design. The applicant conditions of approval include completion of the cul-de-sac improvements on Mountbatten, such that it is a completed cul-de-sac street. There is a 20-foot easement to provide for connections to sewer, which are required to be there to provide for flow. And with that said, staff would recommend adoption of the resolution upholding the appeal and approving the tentative tract map as amended. That completes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. At this time, the public hearing is open. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to staff's recommendation? That is, those who are against upholding the appeal and approving the amended map. If so, please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing none. Now, is there anyone who wishes to speak in support of staff's recommendation? That is, those who are in favor of upholding the appeal and approving the amended map. Please step to the microphone, identify yourself, and proceed. Seeing none, come on up. Welcome. Please identify yourself and go ahead.
Bosley. I live on Mountbatten. I just want to give my gratitude to the council members and all the including parties for coming to a solution on this, and everyone's in agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in support? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. I am Jonathan Zumwalt. I represent my client, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Fresno, who is interested in developing this tentative map. I encourage the City of Bakersfield to approve the tentative tract map 7383 as amended, and I would like to thank the Mountbatten Homeowners Association for their representation.
Thank you. anyone else who wishes to speak in support of staff's recommendation? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and return it to council for comment and action. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just want to thank everybody involved here, from the applicant and the neighborhood and staff. It was a difficult solution to come to, and you know, staff and the applicant and the neighbors all worked together and ended up with a win-win, I think, for everybody. And so really appreciate the efforts on all sides. And so with that, I will make a motion to uphold the appeal and approve the tentative track map 7383 dated July 1, 2021 as amended. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a motion. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Weir. Councilmember Arias.
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes.
Councilmember Parlier.
Aye.
Motion is approved with Councilmember Weir absent.
Thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez. Oh, okay. For the next one. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Council and mayor statements.
Thank you. Councilmember Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, all. Thank you for being here this evening. I just want to make two comments. One, I think we need to celebrate tonight the accomplishment of the establishment of the Housing Trust Fund. I want to thank all of staff's hard work throughout the last few months to establish this trust fund. It's a huge step forward for the city of Bakersfield. It's something that I've been advocating for a number of years. Several of my colleagues have been talking about and advocating for, and certainly folks in the community as well, and it's been a long time coming. I think what's important to note is that not only are we putting $5 million into this housing trust fund, but it also allows us to receive up to $5 million additional dollars through the HCD, through the state. And so that is a huge step forward for building, increasing our affordable housing production in this community, and I think that needs to be celebrated. So a big hoorah to all of the team for their hard work. I'm just very proud of this accomplishment for us in the city. And the second item I just wanted to bring about is we've heard a lot of discussion from various different stakeholders in the downtown core related to homelessness. There's been questions about an anti-camping policy. I know that Councilmember Parlier and I have explored this topic with the city attorney's office in the past. More recently, we've heard about an ordinance established in Los Angeles, and I'd like to ask the city attorney's office and the city manager's office to provide the council some analysis on the Los Angeles ordinance and how that compares to what we have currently on the books, and what strategies we have moving forward. That said, I'm very proud of the work that we're doing as a community. Our first step to address the homelessness crisis locally has been to build a navigation center that houses people who have other challenges to accessing the existing shelters. This is the first shelter in our community that houses single adult women. And so I'm very proud of this. There are a lot of accomplishments. Over 65 individuals who are staying at the homeless shelter have been permanently housed. So they're making a lot of progress to improve the lives of people. And certainly our response as a city has always been, if those individuals who are desperate, who are on the streets, who are unhoused, and they need help, we as a community are going to provide that help. And I'm very proud of us at this city for adding those additional resources. However, there is still an issue with regard to public spaces. My families in Ward 2 and families throughout the city deserve safe parks. Children deserve playgrounds that are clean and that are safe and they're accessible when they go and visit our public parks. Folks deserve walkways that are clean and safe. And so we need to make sure that we address those concerns as well. And so, again, I'd like to ask both the city manager's office and the city attorney's office to collaborate and to bring back a report to the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gonzalez. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to thank Ms. De La Rosa for her thoughtful letter about the uses of the trust fund. Several of these ideas might fit in with it. But on that subject, I would like to have City Manager's office come back to the council and say, what can we do within this fund? What is allowed? I've been involved in numerous affordable housing projects over my career and had programs such as her First Point, forgivable gap loans for people to help them purchase. So there's some good ideas here, and I'd like to know, can we do any of these things, or what is the flexibility within this fund? Because we set it up, but I'm not sure what's allowed within it. So I'd love to get that information. Separately, I have a couple of letters I'd like the city manager's office to draft on two bills in the legislature. The first, little memo, over 175 cities and the League of California Cities have opposed SB 9. Trying to read it. I'd like to ask the city manager's office to register the city of Bakersfield as opposed as well. SB 9 would require cities to ministerially approve, without condition or public input, a housing development containing two residential units on an individual parcel in a single-family neighborhood. This bill would also require local governments to ministerially approve an urban lot split, which is a process that allows a property owner to create two independent lots that may be sold separately. SB 9 will not spur much needed housing construction that we need, and the bill completely railroads local flexibility, decision-making, and community input on housing development. So that's the first one. I have a second one. This concerns AB 215. I'd like to join the League of California Cities in opposition to AB 215 and request that the city manager's office issue a letter to the bill's author. Under this bill, cities not meeting the state's goals will have a mandatory consultation with the Department of Housing and Community Development to adopt what the state determines as pro-housing policies. In their opposition, the League of California Cities argues that this bill is an intrusion into local control, and the state already provides plenty of housing oversight. More importantly, the SIG points out that a pro-housing designation is meant to be an incentive and not a mandatory requirement. We recognize the need for additional housing development, especially affordable housing, but this is not the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Freeman. Councilmember Arias.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Going to add another piece of legislation to that mix. As it relates to public comment, it is my hope that residents and families of this community have the first opportunity, a timely opportunity, to share their thoughts and concerns with this council. And to that effect, I would like to ask our city attorney to draft a letter of opposition to AB 339 unless amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Arias. Councilmember Gray, Councilmember Parlier, do you have comments?
No comments.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your engagement tonight. Councilmember Freeman, you were talking about local control, and we know that when we're able to make our decisions that best help our local residents, that really is what we're after. And so I'm your representative on the League of California Cities, now known as Cal Cities, and I'll be continuing to push for local control, just in alignment with those two that you articulated. So I'll be leaving there tonight, actually, for a meeting, and we'll continue to represent our city and make sure that we get local control and the needs of the city of Bakersfield are met. Thank you so much. Seeing no other requests to speak, the meeting is adjourned at 6:39.
The 3:30 p.m. meeting of the Bakersfield City Council is now in session.
Mayor Go.
Here.
Vice Mayor Weir. Councilmember Arias.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
I'm here.
Councilmember Freeman.
Here.
Councilmember Gray. And Councilmember Parlier.
Thank you. On March 4th, 2020, Governor Newsom declared a state of emergency in California due to the threat of COVID-19. We understand that many of the governor's executive orders related to COVID-19 have been rescinded or are due to expire soon. However, some orders remain in effect, including the suspension of some components of the Brown Act related to public meetings like this one. Next item, please. Public statements. If you're here to make a public statement, please fill out a public speaker card and give it to the city clerk. All statements are given a 3-minute time limit, 15 minutes per topic. Please keep your comments to the 3:30 agenda item. If you have written comments that are longer than your verbal statement, give those to the clerk, who will give copies to the council. We're very interested and concerned with your issues. However, due to the public notice requirement of the Brown Act, the council can't take action when an item isn't on the agenda. The council can, however, refer your matter to committee or request that staff contact you. Please avoid any behavior that disrupts the meeting, such as repetitive statements, going off topic, shouting, surpassing the 3-minute time limit. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers?
No public speaker cards have been received.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Under closed session, item 4A, conference with labor negotiator. Item 4B, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation. Closed session, item 4C, public employee performance evaluation for the city attorney.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith.
Move to adjourn to closed session.
We're adjourned to closed session. Reconvening the 3:30 City Council meeting. Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 items on closed session tonight. Item 4A, there is no reportable action. Item 4B, there is no reportable action. And item 4C was started briefly and then continued to the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned at 5:40. And we'll start the next meeting as soon as technology is able to set up. Thank you.